for the first segment of the workshop. This is a beautiful couple from the United States. One is an ex-consultant, the other one is an ex-fashion designer. Beautiful. So what do they both have in common, an ex-consultant and a fashion designer? Well, other than great love for each other and great looks. And well, they have always wanted to live life on their own terms. So for a decade, they were strapped by the demands of the corporate life until they found Usana. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Executive Emerald Directors, Helen, Zhang, and Team Tran. Woo! Welcome, Helen. Right. And the next person is a very, very special gentleman. He believes that everything is possible. Provided you're willing to work hard. Everything that you want in life is achievable, provided you're willing to work hard. And prior to joining Usana, he was a professor. I'll let him tell you his story. Now, his success in Usana is driven by his passion to develop others, to help other people achieve what they want. He believes that working with your team is the only way to be successful in Usana. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Doc Edu Bolanos, Diamond Director from the Philippines. Thank you. Welcome to our panel. So let's move on to our first question for the panel today. Let's just take a couple of minutes to listen to their whys. Can we have the mic for our panelists, please? Oh, it's right here. Yeah, can someone pass the mic? Sorry. Thank you. So let's have each of them share their whys. Why did they join Usana? Why did they rank advanced to gold and beyond? Who would like to go first? Doc?
All right, so thank you so much and good afternoon, everyone. Are you all right? Yeah. Do we have energy? Yeah. All right, so basically I have two whys. So one is what I call personal why, and the other one is organizational why. So as to the first why, I was a full-time university professor prior to doing Usana. So life was good, not until my mother had severe health problems in 2010. So she was diagnosed with diabetes and all the complications such as heart enlargement, hypertension, visual impairment, etc. So all my savings, basically I was on my 8th year of teaching in the university, I was able to save around 44,000 US dollars. Because aside from teaching, I was also doing some side projects like book writing, book editing, but then the whole amount all went to the hospitalization. So unfortunately, we stayed in the hospital for 93 days, and that entailed the entire amount of around 81,000 US dollars. So I was really bankrupt. So I then realized a lot of things. So that health is important, money is important, and even time is important. And I said to myself, it should not happen again. And it should not happen to the people I love and I know of, my friends. As regards my second why, which is my organizational why, I found out that, or I realized rather, that this business is a modeling business. And that for my business to grow, I really have to grow, I really have to take the lead. So I'm fully aware I wasn't born a leader, but since the business has to grow, I really have no choice but take the lead, show results, rank advance. I really believe that rank advancement is a clear demonstration of my leadership. And we know that leadership is influence. And the only way we can influence is through our rank advancement. That is what we're after at, the influence to our team.
Thank you. Helen?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Helen. Thank you. So, I'm assuming everyone here wants to get to Gold Director, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So I feel like my why actually changed. When I first started doing Usana, I just got out of college, university, right? I graduated with a fashion degree. I did a lot of work experience in top Australian fashion companies. And I just found that the lifestyle, working in a fashion industry is not the lifestyle that I wanted. I wanted freedom. I had that yearning inside of me to have freedom to control my own time, right? So when I learned about Usana, I was excited, and that, really caused me to build. But sometimes your whys change as you progress, right? Maybe you got to achiever or director, and you find that your whys change. When I got to about the point where I was earning about $500 in Usana, I just had my first baby, right? And that $500 was great because it helped to pay for things around the house, like diapers and groceries. And it was great because my husband, it meant that all the financial pressure wasn't just on him. But I saw that at the time, he was working 60 hours a week in his corporate job. He was coming home stressed and tired and just not fulfilled, right? So at that point, my why became growing my income in Usana so that if he wanted to, he could quit his job and have more time with our baby. So my why changed. Thank you.
So I'm pretty lucky, right? So like Helen said, so I'll pick up the story from there. So when I actually got introduced to Usana, we were just starting to date, and so she actually started the business first. And so when she got to a level of about $500 a week, we started to kind of think, it was like, wow, like when we had our first child, we were like, wow, there's money coming in. And she was putting so much effort in the beginning that it almost feels like it wasn't worth it in the beginning. But then when she started to eventually, when we had our first child, the $500 check definitely was very helpful. And so I started to think, I was like, wow, like if it's $500 now, what if it became $1,000 a week? What if it became $2,000 a week or $3,000 a week? And I started to kind of, and because of her, my vision started to grow, because at that time I was working a corporate job and she was saying that I was working 60 hours a week. I got home every single day at around 7 o'clock, and within 15 minutes of sitting on the couch, I was already passed out. And I did that for a couple of years, and I said, how is this ever sustainable if I ever wanted to be with her, with our son, and then our future children? And so at that point, I realized I had to make a decision of something different. And so I saw people, a very similar event like this was actually in Asia Pacific. I realized that there were people that were succeeding. So there's things that I didn't see. So I started to reassess my own beliefs about what it was for network marketing. And so that's when the vision started to grow. And that's when we started to put more business into it. And we made a decision to go gold director.
Fantastic. A German philosopher once said that he who has a why can endure anyhow. Now we know that knowing your why is an important first step in achieving your goals, in achieving the life that you want, in living life on your own terms. So let's take a few minutes now to listen to Doc, who share the importance of understanding your why and making your first decision, making a firm decision.
All right, thank you so much, Caroline. Who among you are builders? Are there builders here? Yeah. Let's give them a round of applause. What about achievers? Directors? Bronze directors? Silver directors?
Wow.
Yeah, the question is, do you really want to become gold directors? Do you really want? I cannot feel you. Do you really want to become gold directors? Yeah, because it really takes energy for you to become gold directors. And Carolyn is right. Knowing your purpose, knowing your why is really important. It's like your stepping stone to become a gold director. Your why serves as your compass. It serves as your guide in reaching your goal. Now, there are two questions basically here. How do we understand our why, and how do we make firm decisions? So let's proceed first with understanding our why. I guess the number one thing there is that you've got to be very clear. Have a clear assessment of what you really want. Do you really want to become gold directors? And why do you really want to become gold directors? What is it? What is the impact it's going to create in your organization once you become a gold director? You have to know that clearly. You have to, I suggest, ask these questions to yourself. Like, first question is, What drives me in this business? What drives me in this business? Is it inspiring others? Is it rank advancement? Is it hitting the goal? It is important to ask that question. What drives me in this business? The second question is, what energizes me in this business? That is also important. Is helping associate something that energizes you? And the third question is, what am I willing to sacrifice for? Because hitting your goal entails some sacrifices. Like for example, your time with your family will somehow be lessened. Your personal hobbies will also be lessened, something like that. So you have to know the price of hitting your goal directorship. So the sacrifices. The fourth is, who do I want to help? Who do I want to help? Who are the willing ones in your organization? Who are the ready ones to run with you in the organization? And the last question is, how do I want to help them? How do I want to help them? So I repeat, the questions are, what drives me in this business? What energizes me in this business? What sacrifices am I willing to do? Who do I want to help? And how do I want to help? So, we really have to be very, very clear. And we really have to embrace the vision, the mission of the company of Dr. Myron Wentz. Now, going to the second point, which is how do we make a firm decision, right? That is also important. You have to know that this is a decision business. You cannot just make any decision. It has to be a solid, full decision. It cannot be a half-baked decision. So when you say yourself, you're going to rank advance to go director because you have your personal goals or personal whys and you have your organizational whys, you really have to act with urgency. You have to act now. You have to have that firm decision that there's no other time but now. You know that?
Yes, there's no better time than now, right? To become a goal director. So making a firm decision, making a commitment to yourself, to your family, to becoming goal is important. So I have a question for Helen. Why do some people avoid making decisions or making a firm commitment, despite knowing how important it is?
All right. Okay. So I'm gonna stand up. Okay. Let's have a heart-to-heart. Because I remember when I first started doing Usana, I came to a Usana convention very much like this one. And I remember sitting down in the seats where all of you are now, and I heard all these amazing stories. And I heard all these people coming on stage and getting recognized for getting to gold and ruby. And I didn't know if I could do it, right? I didn't know whether I wanted to do this business. I was so indecisive, I couldn't commit. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So, all right, so I totally understand where you are. Now looking back, I think it's very comparable to, say, climbing a mountain, right? Someone's telling you, hey, look, there's a mountain right there. If you climb up all the way, there's piles and piles of gold, and whoever gets to the top, you can take that pile of gold and live the life of your dreams. So logically, wouldn't everyone climb that mountain? But no, that's not the case. And why isn't it? Why would someone like me, I'm not sure if I want to climb that mountain, right? So I almost feel like my answer is the reverse to dogs. I'm here to kind of explore what's holding you back. I believe that if you're not climbing the mountain, there's three types of people, right? The first type is that they're the type of people who believe that other people can do it, but they can't, right? They have a lot of beliefs that's running through their heads, like, I'm too young, I'm too old. That's definitely where I was. I'm not talented enough, I don't have any business experience, I can't do it, but other people can. The second type of people is that they have a lot of fears. Maybe someone's told them, no, don't climb that mountain, it's too high. There are bears up there that can catch you and kill you. And maybe they're scared that if I really did try and go up that mountain, what happens if I don't succeed and people laugh at me? And the third type, they don't even believe that gold is real. They think that everyone's lying to them and that it doesn't exist, so they don't go for it. So I'm here to ask you, if you are someone or you have teammates who are having trouble making decisions or commitments, what is it that's holding them back? Is it that, do they believe they can be a leader? Do you believe you can be a leader? Do you believe that you can make the income that you want in Usana? Second, do you have any fears or limiting beliefs that are holding you back? I did. I got to a point in my business where I didn't even realize this at first, but I believe that the more time that I spent on my business, it meant that I was neglecting my baby. And it was so subtle. I had to really dig to get down to that to believe. And if I don't explore that, if I didn't, I would still be earning $500 a week, which is awesome, but I was so ready to grow beyond that. So what is it for you? It could be things that you brought with you from childhood that you don't even know that you have and that's holding you back. So are your beliefs and even your past, is it hurting you or is it helping you? And number 3, do you believe that you can do it? Do you believe that it's possible and real? Okay, so now I want you all to imagine that you are about to climb that mountain, but you're not sure. You haven't made the decision, right? You kind of wanna, but you don't really wanna. Okay, now imagine that all of a sudden you hear a noise and you look behind you and there's this giant, big dinosaur looking straight at you, looking like it's your next meal, and it's running at you at full speed. If you don't climb the mountain, you're dead meat. Now would you climb that mountain, right? Now that dinosaur in our lives represent the pain that's in our lives. Make that pain, whatever it is, because people are driven by pleasure, pain. Doc was talking about pleasure. I'm talking about pain because a lot of people are driven by pain, okay? So for me, my pain when I was building my business was when I was dating Tim. We were in a long distance relationship. He was living in the US, I was living in Sydney. So I had to make money, I had to make checks, or else I wouldn't get to see him. That was my pain, like the pain of not seeing him propelled me to grow my business. So what is it for each of you? I encourage you to kind of really explore that. Make your pain so big, so painful that you have no choice but to move forward. And it's okay if you don't see the whole picture right away. Just take the first step, right? And know that whatever problems that you encounter, you can solve along the way.
Thank you. Throw your back over the fence. Announce your goals to your team and you'll be committed. Once you've thrown your bag over the fence, you have no choice but to climb over no matter how high it is, right? To get your bag. So make a commitment. So team, how do you overcome indecisions?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'd like to stand up too. So really quick, how many of you guys is this your first time at convention right now? How many is your first convention? Awesome. How many is your second time at convention? How many of you guys have, so in the next couple of days, you're gonna hear some amazing stories, you're gonna feel inspired, you're gonna hear a lot of stories that are going to move you, and that's gonna be great. And one of the things where we start to coach, and we work with some of our team members, one of the things we realize that there's motivation and then there's making a firm decision. And so when we start to dig deeper, we found out that there's certain reasons why people where people are a little bit indecisive. And I want to kind of just share that with you in case you run into this. So I want you to think about it like this. If you're indecisive, it's kind of like being lost at sea. It's like you're kind of just drifting, there's no set sail, you're really just kind of floating there. And because of that, it's a little bit of confusion, there's a little bit of anxiety, you're like, where am I going, right? And so one of my biggest things is that if you think about indecision, I want you to think about C. It's an acronym, S-E-A, C. So the first reason when you start to dig deeper is that most people are indecisive is because there's a handful of people that you're seeking approval from. That there's a handful of people that you're seeking approval from that has no contribution to where you want to go. That doesn't mean they're bad, it just means that you're seeking unnecessary approval from those people. So here's what I want you to do. Instead of seeking from the people that don't contribute, go seek approval from the people that actually have what you want. The advice and experiences of the people that you have, those are the people that should, that advice should be like, it should carry weight like a mountain. For the people that don't have what you want, it doesn't mean that they're bad, but those advices should be carrying like feathers. The weight should be like feathers. So that's the first one, is that you stop seeking approval from the people that don't have what you want. Number two, there's typically no emotional connection to what you want. So usually when the people are indecisive, there's really no emotional connection to what you want. So what this means is, goal director, or whatever the next goal is going to be, you're gonna get really excited, but then maybe you kind of lose that emotional connection. So I want you to want to visualize something. What would it feel like to, like, Saturday morning, if you had $1,000, if you woke up and you had $1,000, you know you're gonna get paid $1,000 Saturday morning for the next couple of years. What would that feel like? So there needs to be an emotional connection. What would you do with that money? Because what happens is you're going to take those actions, and over time it may just feel a little bit mundane, but you want to envision what it's like to have that. So there has to be that emotional connection. And then number three, there's a self-awareness factor to this. And what I found is that most people, when they're a little bit indecisive, there's a self-awareness, meaning that there's going to be a lot of opportunities coming your way. There might be things that are going to drag you in a lot of different directions. And so the question is that, do you find yourself saying this, I don't have time? I want you to catch yourself every single time you said, I don't have time. All that means is that it's not a priority. So if you say, I don't have time for Usana, all you're saying is that it's not a priority yet. So either decide, yes, I'm going to do Usana, or no, I'm not going to do Usana, because the in-between, the indecisiveness, is going to create the anxiety. And what you want to do is, you want to have that awareness is, okay, where can I cut out the things that aren't adding value? So if you do want to do Usana, have that awareness and say, okay, how do I kind of position that? What are my priorities to be able to fit that time? So those are my three reasons.
Thank you, team. How many of you are still undecided? Show me your hands. Okay, great. They've all decided they're going to be goal directors. All right, great. So you will love the next step. So, understanding your why, knowing your purpose is important, but that's not it. You got to have a goal. All successful people have goals. You can't achieve goals that you don't have, right? And having a goal takes you forward to the next step. So let's hear from Tim again about goal setting and action plans to achieve goal director rank. What kind of goals do you set, and what kind of action plans are needed?
Sure. So again, you probably hear me talking a lot of acronyms. So when it comes to goal setting, how many of you, let me just kind of see your hands, how many of you in the past have set a goal and then haven't achieved it? Just being real honest, yeah? So how many of you kind of felt a little bit bad about yourself? You're like, oh my gosh, yeah? So in the next couple of minutes, I'm gonna share how to completely fix that. Completely fix that for the rest of your life. Now here's the reason why most people, when they tell you to set a goal, they always tell you, think big, long-term goals, right? How many of you guys heard that? Yeah? Set big visions for yourself so you can get excited. That's very, very true. But here's the missing piece. You have to have short-term actions. Short-term consistent action. So when you think about goal setting, I want you to think 4G. All right, so goal setting, 4G. I'm gonna give you an acronym, 4G. So the first one is, what is your goal? Like, what is your goal? Immediately, what comes to your mind? Don't overthink it. Immediately, what's your income? It doesn't have to be ranked. Immediately, what's your income? If for tomorrow you had that money and you were okay paying off your bills and you had some money, what would that do to release all your anxiety? What would be that goal? I want you to write it down really quickly, because we're going to walk through this in the next couple of minutes. I'm going to help you out. Because the thing is like, when we set goals, you have to have that excitement. So that's the first thing. So once you have that number, what's the weekly income? Just tell me, write it down, what's the weekly income? All right? Now, emotionally think, if I had this money right now, what would that do for me? If you're numb to that question right now, that's where you got to start. So if you don't believe that you can't achieve it, if you're saying whatever amount it is for that week, if you don't believe that you can achieve it, that means that you're emotionally detached. That's where you got to start from. You got to have that vision of excitement, because if you're not emotionally attached, you're not going to move. So that's the first thing. So once you have that, what feeling do you get from having that money? So for example, if you're saying that, hey, if I had, let's say, goal director money, $1,000 a week, that means I can pay for my bills, I'm good, I can contribute to a dual income, and I can stay home with my family. In addition to that, once I have that money, you know what that means? That means I can go out and do more charity work. That means I can help with the True Health Foundation. That means I can provide for, I can give my time to people in my local community. If that lights you up, that has to be an emotional connection right there. So the first one is, what is your goal, and what is the emotional attachment to it? Number two, and this is where people fall off. By far, this is where we see most of our teams when they fall off. If this is something that you want to do, the second thing is there's a gap between where you are right now to where you want to go. And I'm gonna help out, because most people, how many of you guys, just raise your hand again, how many people said that you felt a little bad about not reaching your goals? Yeah? So here's the thing. You gotta set minimums. And here's what I mean. The minimums are, what are you gonna do on a daily basis, guaranteed, no questions asked, doesn't matter if there's, you have all these things going on, what is the minimum, bare minimum that you can do? And here's why this works so effectively. Your brain is not intended to make you happy. Your brain is intended to keep you alive. And so when you're able to take action on a daily basis, it creates an anchor and a consistency for it. So it becomes, you know what the routine is. And then based on that, if you can hit your minimums, it's gonna do such an amazing thing for your confidence. So that doesn't mean that you just do the minimum every day. It just means that regardless, no questions asked, you do the minimums. But imagine this, if you set your goal to, say, talk to 10 people a day, you get motivated after this, you talk to 10 people a day, and then you hit only 8. Wouldn't you feel bad about yourself? You're like, oh, I didn't hit my goal. I only did 8. But what if you set your minimum for 2, and then you crushed it with 8? Isn't that a different psychology? Wouldn't you feel better about yourself? And then wouldn't that make you more motivated to go crush it again? So set your minimums. Set your minimums. And I'm gonna give you 4 things daily. 4 categories. You set your standards, but I'm gonna give you 4 areas that will, if you do it consistently every single day, you're gonna crush it. Here's the first area. Number 1, connection. Who are you connecting with every single day? So if you're on social media, are you on Facebook groups to find new people? If you're out, are you promoting new, are you kind of networking and you're meeting 2 new connections? That doesn't mean that you're talking about Usana, you're just making new connections. That's number 1. Number 2, how many invites are you doing? So how many invites are you doing? So again, you set your minimums, I'm not telling you. So my recommendation, maybe 2. 2 invites. Number 3, how many follow-ups are you doing? How many follow-ups are you doing? And then finally, number 4, personal development. Like, how many minutes are you doing every single day? Again, you set your standards. My recommendation would be 15 minutes, no questions asked every single day. You can do it when you're washing dishes or in the bathroom getting ready in the morning. And then for the people that are on social media, I will make 1 post every single day that sparks conversation. I didn't say transaction or selling anything. I said spark conversation with the people that you're engaged with. So those are the 5 steps for when it comes to goal setting if you want to achieve it, right? So that's the gap. So number 1 is setting what is the goal that gets you excited. Number 2, what is the gap? So it's the daily actions. Here's number 3. You guys ready for number 3? You gotta gauge. You gotta gauge. So at this point right now, if you guys are achievers to about silver director, you gotta gauge what you're doing. So what that means is, if you're gauging what you're doing is, are you looking at your volume report? The free volume report or the team manager, whatever it is. And now, most of the time when we tell this to our team, we're like, oh, like I don't make that much money, so I'm not looking at it. That's the exact reason why you should be looking at it. Because if you're gonna focus on it, it's going to allow you to keep your mind on your business. And it's gonna make you more, it's gonna keep you focused on growing it. So so gauge what you're doing. What is your personal volume? Are you gauge your personal volume? What is your personal volume that you're committed to doing on a weekly basis? Again, it would be a minimum. I'm not telling you, so it wouldn't be 200 maybe a week if you're busy. It may be 25. Maybe you set it to sell 1 perflavanol. Whatever it is, you set the gauge. And then what you want to do last is you want to gauge and track what is your weekly auto order. So track your weekly auto order, meaning so that on a 4-week cycle, your first 4-week cycle and then your next 4-week cycle, does it increase? Like, does it increase? So based on that, you can now be able to start thinking about your business. And here's the last one. The last one is going to be go lead. So the first one is, what is your goal? The second one is, what's the gap? Number 3 is gauge. Number 4 is go lead. And this is what I mean. Set the example. So if you're saying that you're going to do just whatever you say you're going to do, go do it. The faster you do it, the faster your team does it. Right? So go lead. But within go lead, specifically of where you are and where you want to go for goal director, I would encourage you to look at 2 aspects of your business when it comes to leadership. Number 1, the people that are coming in, who wants to do platinum paysetter? So it doesn't mean that you're forcing them to do it. It's, do you have a way to identify who is doing platinum paysetter? And how are you talking about it? So that's the first one. The second one is, how many people are making $200 checks? That's the magic number for us, is $200 checks. If you want to go goal director, it's a $200 check. How many people are consistently making $200? And here's the crazy part. If you have 3 people making $200 a week on your left, and 3 people making $200 on your right, that's a $1,000 check on a weekly basis. That's $1,000, 3 and 3. And if you think that's a lot, I want you to introduce you a really quick concept. Right now, in the US, Uber, actually globally, Uber is the #1 company that cuts a check that's $500 or less. So they are the #1 company that cuts the most checks that are $500 or less. What does that tell you? That tells you that people are looking for opportunity. So there's people out there that are looking to just make $500 a month. So you're out here trying to get people to just help people make $200 a week. So I hope that helps. So that's goal setting for you.
Great tips. You'll agree with me that this business is really very simple, but it takes hard work. It's a very simple business, but it takes hard work. Thanks for the action plan tips. And Helen, I have a question for you. Yeah, let's give Tim a big round of applause. Right, so Helen, does your goal involve setting goals with your teammates as well? Like who and how? And do you leverage the incentives that Usana offers in setting goals?
Absolutely, absolutely. So whenever we're working in this business by ourselves, right? So very naturally, when it comes to goal setting, you want to do it with your team. But I'd like to preface by saying that you should never expect people on your team to want to support you and run with you when you're going on your gold run, right? I always say to people, just assume that you're gonna have to do all the work by yourself, and if there's people on your team who wants to run with you, then that's a bonus, right? And that really fosters a sense of appreciation, a gratitude in the team, and kind of less expectation, right? So, after that, how do you figure out who wants to run with you? Well, you gotta tell your team, hey, at this month, at this date, I'm planning my gold run. Who wants to run with me, right? Who wants to get to sharer or achiever, director or silver director? And see a show of hands. Who wants to leverage the momentum that you're gonna create by running with you? Because we have a saying, right? When a rising tide lifts all the boats, right? So when you help your team members get to where they want to be, you're going to get to your goals as well. So if it's not a rank that you want to get to, how about helping the people in your team to get their first check? Tim and I, we love getting people to their first $200 check. There's just something about that number where they've enrolled enough associates or customers for them to really get a sense of building the business, and that keeps them going and it gives them more confidence. Okay, so when it comes to incentives For the new people in my team, I love to promote the Platinum Pacesetter program. And why I love that is because your gold run is 4 weeks, right? So the Platinum Pacesetter, if they are someone who wants to go for that, you know that within a set period of time, within the 8 weeks that they join, they're going to be enrolling associates and bringing in volume. Either they're going to go for the 2 associates, 800 points, so they're pace setter, or they're 4 associates, 1,600 points, so they're platinum pace setter, right? So if on your run, you can help 4 to 6 new associates qualify for platinum pace setter, that's gonna help so much with your volume. Now, for the people who's been in your organization for a while, right, something that I like to promote is the Leadership Summit. Usana have so many great incentives, right? So why not leverage them? The Leadership Summit is a retreat that's actually hosted by Usana, and you're helping your teammates, that's gold director and under, right, to get an average of 600 CVP, commission volume points per week for 13 weeks. Okay, and why I love that is because when they do that, not only are they bringing in volume, right, and it's helping you on your run, they get to go and meet the corporate team. And that does so much, you know, when they get to know the company and who's, you know, actually running and managing it, it does something to them. It grows their confidence, right? And they feel solid growing with Usana. And second, Usana is helping you to train your leaders, right? So why not leverage that? And not only are you reaching your goals that way, you're also building the leadership underneath of you in your organization so that when you do reach your goals, you have a stable income, right? So leverage Usana incentives, it's so important. So yeah, there you go.
Thank you. So the only way for you to achieve your goals and a sustainable income in Usana is to help your teammates get what they want. A solid teammate is a solid leader. So let's talk about the role of upline leaders. Now you and I know that your upline leader is not supposed to be doing enrollments for you, not supposed to pick up your stocks for you in your goal run, right? Or in your quest to achieve a higher level. So, Doc, what is the role of the upline leader in goal setting and action plans?
All right, so thank you so much. I think it's getting clearer and clearer for everyone on how you can be goal director, right? Follow the tips from Tim and Helen, and for sure, you're gonna be goal directors. Is that exciting? All right, so just to put things at the right perspective, we really have to understand. Some of you are directors, bronze directors, silver directors. It is important at this point to put in your mind that your upline is just a bonus. You have to remember that. That will make your business a lot faster and easier, right? But suppose that everyone here has an active upline. So who among you here have active gold uplines, ruby uplines, or direct sponsors? How many of you have active direct sponsor? How many? Raise your hands. All right. So it's apparent that not all of you have active direct sponsor or the so-called direct upline. If you have, of course, you must be lucky. Your upline may help you, may guide you in terms of the details, in terms of the actions, and in terms of the strategies in the 4-week run for your goal directorship. And you have to note that we are not only talking here of the 4-week goal director or goal directorship. We are talking here of executive goal director. Is that clear? That after the 4 weeks, you have to finish the race up to your executive goal directorship. You're not supposed to be goal director by just 4 weeks. You have to sustain it. You have to make your organization stable, solid, and you have to earn your income at the pin level. Am I right? Now, your upline may be very helpful in terms of nurturing the new associates, nurturing, equipping the new associates, developing, spotting leaders who come in the organization. First is nurturing part. Your upline may be very powerful in showing the bigger picture. He can be very instrumental in cementing the beliefs of your new recruits or new associates as to what is in store in Usana. All the good things that they can achieve in Usana. Your upline may be powerful in teaching your new associates some good beliefs in terms of network marketing. Why network marketing? Why is it important to be engaged in network marketing? What makes network marketing very powerful as a business? And then why Usana? Your upline being experienced can help you also in showing to your new recruits or associates that we are in the best company, that we are the global leader when it comes to cellular nutrition, when it comes to compensation plan. Your upline can also be very powerful when it comes to developing their beliefs, cementing their beliefs in the compensation plan, in the products, in the industry, etc., etc. He can also be powerful in terms of nurturing, which is equipping in terms of skill, equipping or training, because these people, the new recruits, are hitting their platinum or PPPS, Premier Platinum Pay Setter. So you might be so busy in the 4-week production. Some of the people in your org are also busy running with you, and there should be someone who can assist you in terms of nurturing, in terms of equipping, because again, it is important that these people, the new recruits, are hitting their PPPS. Is that clear? So we have nurturing, we have equipping. Your upline can help you in that. And also developing what? Developing leaders or spotting potential leaders or potential people, the new recruits as well. Your upline leader can help you with that. So in short, nurturing, equipping, developing, those 3 areas are important, and your upline may be instrumental. So you have to have a healthy relationship with your upline leaders. But then not everyone has active uplines. Maybe not all of you, right? So what if, in the case wherein you don't have an active upline leader? It's just all right. It's fine, because you have to remember, this is your business, right? At the end of the day, this is your business. You just have to be very strategic, just so you will be able to retain those people, those associates who come in your organization. Again, an upline may be a bonus. Remember that. Your success may not be fully from your upline. But if you have upline leader who is really active in building his or her business, you can work well with him or her, right?
Thank you. So having an upline who can mentor you is great. But if you don't, look around you. There are peers who are more than willing to work along with you and help you. And most important, you remember that you have yourself, right? Okay, so we know knowing our purpose is important. It's the first step. Setting goals, taking action plans, setting what kind of action plans is key. But really getting down to taking the actions is the hardest part. So Helen, give us some tips on taking actions and tracking those actions versus goals, results versus goals. How do you do that?
Oh boy. All right. So
Let's give Helen a big hand. This is the toughest part, right? Taking actions.
Okay. Can I see a show of hands who actually tracks their business? And when I say tracking, I mean like you write down everything that you did today to actually contribute, to your business, the activity in, producing tasks and all that. Who tracks? All right. So a lot of people don't. And there's no judgment there on my behalf, because I didn't track either. I was the worst person when it comes to tracking, right? When I first started my business, I would wake up with no plans, right? I mean, aren't I doing this business for freedom? So I'll just do whatever I feel like that day, right? Right? That's the way I thought. And I'll just talk to anyone that comes along, that comes my way. I'll follow up with people who I remember to. So that got me to a point in my business. It did get me somewhere, but I soon realized that, wow, if I can remember everyone that I've talked to, then I haven't talked to enough people, right? So then I had to learn the hard way to actually write down everything that I do. And I feel like that I actually lost out on a lot of opportunities because I didn't write things down. So I forgot to talk to a lot of people. I forgot to follow up with a lot of my customers. And so they disappeared, right? So it's okay not to track, but just know that you're gonna get varied results. So now, I'm busy, I have 2 kids, so I am such a firm believer in waking up with a checklist, a personal checklist and a checklist for your business. What do I need to do today to grow my Usana business? So that when you actually sit down, you're focused, you know exactly what you need to do and you don't waste time, okay? So apart from the checklist, I would also keep track of how many work hours that you actually put into your business every day and every week, right? Especially for full-timers, right? If you're full-time, what is your biggest problem? What do you think? Your biggest problem is actually you have too much time, and most people don't utilize their time properly. It's so easy to think, oh, I'm working my business all day, but from personal experience, it's so easy to just, find yourself scrolling through Facebook for like an hour and you don't even realize, right? Or you're thinking about, how am I gonna do this business? How am I gonna follow up with this person? But you're still thinking, and we can't think our way to success, right? I had to learn that the hard way. You actually put action in, right? So you have something to track. So when it actually comes to tracking, what do you track? You can track so many things, right? So what is important to track? Let me give you a list of 10 things that I track every day to help me. So if you have a notebook and pen, I'm gonna read them out because we don't have PowerPoint, so you can write them down. And some of them are gonna seem pretty basic, but it's so important. Okay, so as business owners, right, we talk to new people every day, right? Either potential customers or associates. So I'm a notebook kind of girl, okay? So in my notebook, I write down the date. When did I meet this person? Number 2, what is their name? Pretty basic so far, right? Number 3, where did I meet them? Was it at a specific party, at a specific function, networking event? Was it offline? Was it on Facebook? Where? Number 4, how do you contact them? Is it through phone? Is it through email? Is it through Facebook Messenger? You gotta know. Number 5, some important points about them. Because when you have conversations with people, they're gonna mention things that you wanna remember down the line when you're following up with them. Maybe they're gonna mention some problem that they need solving, and you think that, hey, Usana might be a good solution for them, right? And the more people you talk to, you're not gonna be able to remember all of that, so it's important to write that down. Number 6, immediately when I write that down, I pick a date of when to follow up with them. I like to follow up with people 24 to 48 hours, right? But then also, I have a 7-day follow-up and a 10-day follow-up. So I write down those dates. So when that date approaches, I remember, right? Because I forget so many things. If it's not written down, it doesn't happen. Okay, number 7. For that day, I write down the total number of people that I prospected. I write that number down. Even if it's 0, I write it down, even if it's 0. Number 8, the total number of presentations that either I did or a video that I sent out that explained the opportunity or the products. What is that number? Are you guys okay so far? Do I need to repeat anything? Okay. Number 9, the total number of customers and associates enrolled that day. And number 10, what team building activities did I do today? And that could include, say, sending out some support messages to teammates to connect with them. It could be maybe a post, an inspirational or motivational post in your team group. It could be some recognition that you're doing to build the, the culture in your team. So all that is included. And then at the end of the day, I have my numbers. right? And then every day, after a week, I get a number for that week. So then as time goes on, you're gonna be able to compare. What did I do that day? What did I do that week? And I can see what actions I put in and what results I'm getting. So it's very, very clear. And if you're serious about growing your business, then it needs to be measurable. You need to quantify it in some way, right? So those are the 10 things that I track on a daily basis. Is everyone okay so far? If you're following on, can you do this? If you're following and you're still with me, can you do this? Great.
Very good.
So that's the daily things that I track. Let me give you 3 more things that I track on a weekly basis or on a regular basis at least, okay? And they're super important. Number 1, you gotta track your auto orders. If you go on the hub, you can see, what volume are you getting every week that's coming from reoccurring auto orders? Is it stable, right? Is it stable week to week? Because with auto orders, we have a 4-week cycle, right? Is it stable month to month even? So if you're going on a gold run, I would actually advise that 60 to 70% of your total volume come from auto orders so that it's not too hard and stressful on you when you are on your gold run. And if you find that, hey, your auto orders are low, that's okay. You can do something about it. What can you do? Here are some things that you can do. You can contact your customers that have bought from you before and see, how did they go with the products? Did they have any questions that need answering? What can you do to support them? That really helps with their, rate of reordering. And maybe go to some inactive associates. They were really engaged before, but for whatever reason it is, they're not as engaged and they're inactive. Reach out to them. See what's going on in their lives. Sometimes without expectation, just reach out, and just care about that person, right? Connect with them. So that would really help your auto orders. What is the second thing that you need to track on a regular basis? I track the number of new people coming into your team that wants to build a business and wants to qualify for Platinum Pacesetter. And first of all, you need to let them know about it because I find that a lot of people, they're scared to talk about the Platinum Pacesetter when actually, how do they know if they want to or not if they don't even know about it? So I let them know, regardless of whether they want to qualify for it or not, what it is, how they can qualify for it, and what are the benefits to them, and what potentially the money that's they're leaving on the table if they don't qualify. And then I let them decide. But they gotta know. And as new associates, a lot of times Usana isn't in the forefront of their minds, right? Everyone's busy. Everyone's busy with their lives, their work, family, right? So as people who's guiding them to qualify, sometimes we need to remind them, hey, this is your qualifying date, and this is how you could potentially reach out to people to help you qualify. So we need to help them along. So, Platinum Pacesetter, that's number 2. Number 3, if you're really serious about your business, you need to invest in team manager. Who here has team manager in the hub? If you don't, I would advise you to get it because what I love about it, and one of the most important things, is that you can see the volume report of all your downlines. And I would actually save the volume reports of your main business builders and the team leaders that's in your team. Because just from a quick glance at their volume, you can tell what's going on, basically what's in their business, right? What's happening in their left organization, right organization, business centers 1, 2, and 3. Where do they need to put more time and effort, right? How are they doing on their auto orders? Are they getting a lot of new volume coming in every week, but their auto orders are low? So then maybe you need to talk to them about, hey, this is how you follow up with people, and how to kind of reach out to them and give them a great kind of product experience so that they reorder, right? Otherwise, it's just like a leaky bucket, right? People come in, people come out. And then also, how close are they to a check? Some people are so close to a check and they don't even know it, right? Because they're not used to looking at their volume report. So sometimes in the beginning, we have to help them look and remind them. So let me just summarize. Track your daily activities, right? And then also keep track of your auto orders. Number 2, who wants to qualify for Platinum Pace Setter? And number 3, keep track of what's going on in your team. Thank you.
Thank you, that was great. Are you learning? Those were great tips. Now, I learned one thing. Well, a lot of things, but one of the greatest things that stood out just now was, first thing in the morning, don't check your handphone. Check your checklist. Don't look at your handphone first thing in the morning when you wake up, look at your checklist. Thank you. So, if I may just add to that, one of the most important roles as a leader is to create urgency. Your week's results, your week's performance depends on how you do daily. So I like the fact that you suggested that you should look at your results daily and track it against your targets. That's great. Now, how many of you here are with your families? How many of you have your families with you? I see cute babies here, little kids running everywhere. How many of you? Raise your hands. Wow. How many of you have your families behind you in this business or are with you? Great, great. Now, you'll agree with me that families, your family members play a great role onto your road to goal, right? So I would like to get Doc to share with us what role did your family play on your road to goal and even now?
All right, thank you. There are what you call supportive family members and unsupportive family members. And there are basically some reasons why some family members can be supportive and otherwise. So let's first talk about how to make your family members, your children or your kids or your spouse get to be supportive in your Usana business. In my case, I really discussed with them what exactly is this business, what are the cost of success in this business, and what this business is for. I negotiated with my family. I made everything clear, just so they will be able to understand why I would have to go out the whole day or stay late in the evening, why, all these things. I really have to make them understand. Otherwise, they will always think that I might be, doing something that might compromise my safety when I'm out of the house in the evening or something like that. I involve them in my plan. I involve them in my celebrations. I really tell them and make it clear that this business at the end of the day is for all of us. If in the event, despite the fact that you're able to make all these things clear with your family and still you're struggling to make them understand, the challenge is you have to create your results fast. You really have to work doubly hard just so you will be able to hit your goal directorship in 2 months' time from now or in 3 months' time from now, because that is possible via hard work, right? So the question is, are you willing to take the challenge? And when that happens, you become goal directors or you rank advance, the whole landscape, everything will change. Definitely. Everyone, in reality, will be supportive, right? So again, involve your family. Make them understand what this business is all about. Tell them all the, sacrifices that you need to do while you're still at the building stage, while you're still at the concentration stage of the business or initial stages of the business. Eventually, they will understand and they're gonna support you.
Thank you. Thank you. One of the best stories that I've heard being in this industry for 30 years is that when kids, for some kids, when their mothers are successful in this business, they are so proud to introduce their mothers or their fathers to their friends. So think about that. This is a great way to, make your kids feel really good and confident. They'd be so proud to introduce their parents to their friends. All right. So let's talk about tracking, being on track with goals. So team, I have a question for you. Have you ever been not on track with goals? And what do you do when you're not on track with your goals?
So honestly, yes, I've never been on track with my goals. There's been times, you know. So I think the first thing is really just telling the truth. You know, telling the truth to yourself, because you really can't lie to yourself. Like, you know, why was it that I just kind of fell off? And so the first goal is not to beat yourself up. It's just being honest, but not to beat yourself up. And so if you can let just be like, oh well, I didn't do it because whatever. But now is a new day. And so one of the best advice that I ever get from my mentor is that beating yourself up is just a waste of time, because that same time you could have gone and helped somebody else. So the first thing is not to beat yourself up. The second thing is sometimes when you're not on track and maybe it's a little bit difficult to kind of get motivated again, one of the best ways is to tie into a community. And it doesn't have to be a Usana community. It's just somebody that is uplifting. Maybe it's a church group. Maybe it's a workout group. Maybe it's something where it allows you to change your own state, where you can borrow motivation or borrow like good vibes from other people. And that's gonna maybe get going. The third thing that I would do is really just kind of do your minimums. You know, one of the things that I personally have felt was that if I beat myself up is mostly because my long-term goal was amazing, but my short-term daily action wasn't. And so if I can bare minimum to my smallest daily non-negotiable, this is what I'm gonna do absolutely every single day, minimum, then I feel good about myself and I continue that streak. It's almost kind of like, and anybody ever kind of do like one of those water challenges or whatever it is where you get like a certain amount of water that you have to drink every single day? When you kind of hit your first one, you almost kind of want to keep that streak alive. So the same thing applies to minimums. So if you can do your minimums and keep on track, and it helps you feel good about yourself, and it continues that. So again, don't beat yourself up. Join a community to help you borrow that vibe, a good vibe if you need the motivation. And then number 3, do your minimums. So thank you.
Thank you. And I think one of the best things you can do is, when you're not on track with your goals, is don't change your goals. Change your action plans. So if you can help it, don't change your goals, but change your action plans. Look at what you've done. Can you do better? Can you double up to catch up? Right? So let's talk about overcoming challenges. You know, the road to goal is filled with potholes, right? Curves, potholes. So the difference between people who are successful and not successful is the ability to overcome challenges. So let's invite Doc to share with us, how do you overcome challenges on the road to goal?
All right. On your road to goal, you really have to expect that there will be a lot of challenges, right? There will be some challenges. Maybe not a lot, no, but there will be some challenges. And you also have to remember that your Usana business is not rocket science. It's not. We don't have to make it complicated. You want to become goal director? We don't have to make it complicated. Just to make it simple, right? So one is, yes, understanding that there will be challenges along the way. Okay? So you've got to prepare your mindset. Okay? You have to ready your mind with that. And you have to, again, understand the cause of success, for such as what? The late nights, the early mornings, the very few friends, being misunderstood sometimes, feeling overwhelmed, questioning your sanity, that also happen at times, being your own cheerleader, all these things. You just have to prepare yourself for that. That is part of what you call mindset, right? Mindset. Don't be affected by those. Don't be affected by those. Should you allow yourself to be affected by those? There are a lot of rewards once you become a goal director. That can be your stepping stone for you to hit, of course, your ruby, emerald, diamond, star diamond, etc. But never be affected by all those. Eyes on the prize. Work hard. In the Philippines, we are doing what you call carpe. Like carpe diem. So carpe as our acronym. So rather than be affected by all those things, we focus on the C, which is what? Contact. So we contact a lot of people. Contact. A for approach. So contact your network, your warm market, then approach some people. They may be what you call cold market, strangers, people you don't know. Because honestly, I was able to build my organization 50% by direct sponsoring cold market. People I don't know. I met in the church or when buying something at the restaurant, that is approaching people. So we have to do a lot of that. Contacting, approaching, and of course R, that's retailing or selling your products. And also P for the presentations. We should have a lot of presentations. And of course E for enroll. So basically, if you are a part-time associate aspiring to become gold director, you should have at least, should we say, in a week. For contacts, like you should have 2 to 3 contacts in a day. In a day. Approach, you should have 2 to 3 in a day as well, if you're a part-timer. Because I started my business part-time. I was a part-time when I hit my gold director, up until I became executive Ruby director. I was a part-timer. So that's possible. And then retail at least, how many? At least a pair of essentials in a day, or probably 4 pairs in a week. And then have massive presentations. Again, for a part-timer, you can have at least 2 presentations in a day. And if you're a full-timer, you should have at least 5 to 6 to even 8 presentations in a day. That may include assist or assisting your associates or your downlines. And of course, enroll. At least you should have 2 to 4 enrollments in a week. Direct sponsors. So by focusing on these actions, on this carpe, you will be able to overcome all those challenges because you are becoming what? You are becoming productive, right? You do not engage yourself feeling discouraged, feeling disappointed. So in other words, you are focusing your attention on the production. And you really put a deadline. When are you really becoming, when are you really going to hit your gold directorship? That has to be clear. From now on, my dear ladies and gentlemen, when do you plan to hit your gold directorship? When will you be gold director? Will it be next year? Will it be 2 years from now? Or 3 years from now? Or it's gonna be 2 to 3 months from now? That before the year ends, you are all gold directors. Is that what you want? Is that what you want? Yes, right? So you should want it. You should like it. And you should put urgency. Because most of the time, it's not about you not knowing what to do in your business. Some of you have been attending a lot of trainings. Online trainings, online, offline trainings. You have a lot of those. In most cases, it's not about not knowing what to do in your business, but it's about not putting the deadline. So the question is, and the more important question is, when are you going to be a gold director? Do you get that? So urgency is very important. Urgency is power in this business. If you put deadline, I think everything will be easier in doing this business, in this business. There will be urge for you to train your people, equip your people, be productive all the time. Pass on energy to your associates once there is a deadline. So again, the culprit is the lack of urgency, the lack of deadline. And that is, my dear ladies and gentlemen, what I want to put across, what I want you to remember, that urgency is power. From now on, you really have to know the date, the when are you becoming to be gold director. That's all. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Wow. Let's give our panelists a big round of applause. Have you learned? Have you learned? Well, if you've learned, let's give them a big round of applause. Thank Thank you, thank you. So we've come to the end of the first segment. We'll take a 15 minutes break. Be back here by 3:30. We'll have the Korean panelists up here at 3:30 sharp. Will you all be back? Will you stay? I tell you what, shall we continue? How many say yes? Or would you like to take a kidney break? Maybe let's take a 5 minutes break. How about that? Yeah? So the earlier we end, the earlier you can get ready for tonight's party. Who's gonna party tonight? Whoa! Who's gonna be glowing tonight? Yes. So why don't we take let's do this. Let's take a 10 minutes break and be back here by 3:25. My clock says it's 3:15 now. 10 minutes break. Right?